Welcome to the Qualified Tutor podcast. Here at QT, our mission is to provide teacher training for tutors. If you are a motivated tutor and you love to learn, the QT podcast will inspire, motivate, and support you to improve your practice. Because tutoring is a small job that makes a big difference. Hello and welcome to our 12th episode of the Qualified Tutor podcast. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Simon Roth and Anna MacDonald and the Play for Progress team here. Anna is head of relationships at Play for Progress, and Simon is a senior music tutor specialising in percussion instruments. So after the success of our last episode where we spoke with Orchestras for All, we're continuing that same theme of music and education and the power of sort of therapeutic and educational music programs for young people here today. So we're very, very lucky to be joined by these two again. So hello, welcome, Simon. Welcome, Anna.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you very much for finding the time to come on. We I don't know about you two, but ever since the lockdown began, us here at Qualified Tutor, including myself, have been far busier than before. So thank you for finding space in your busy diaries. So I just wanted to begin kind of with a little question that perhaps both of you could take on this, about what Play for Progress have been doing, kind of since the turn of the year, since January and into the lockdown period.
So we started the year quite strong, as we always do. We have three classes that we run every week. We do a therapeutic arts class, or CAT class, creative arts therapy, on a Tuesday night, and then we have RAW, our recording, arranging and writing class, on a Thursday night, and we have our general music class on a Friday night. And in addition to that, we have one-to-one therapy. We do one-to-one, what we call our educational tutor slots, and we also do quite a lot of advocacy, and we describe that as helping young people out of crisis. So we were mega busy up until the lockdown, and in fact, have found ourselves, if it was possible, to be busier since the lockdown has happened. Within a week, we had online sessions up and running on every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Friday, trying to hold that space within our community and help the young people to get online. It became apparent very quickly that they would need to have access to Wi-Fi and tech to be able to keep up with just things like college, their English learning, and that this is a group that are already quite isolated, so just to keep up with friends as much as possible to keep our community strong.
Yeah, exactly. And Simon, how have you found the transition over to kind of live music performances on a digital space?
Well, I did one live streaming gig, like just solo show, that was for Play for Progress and the kind of the young people and the community. That was the only. I'll be doing another one like that again, but I've barely done any live performance, like been streaming anything. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I imagine as a percussion player, you may have soundproof walls at home, but I must get rather loud practicing at home, does it? Well, I'm very lucky that I've got a studio space I can use. So,
oh, really?
It's fine. That's one way of doing it. But it's also, a large part of drumming is playing with people. So it's, I don't want to hear a drum solo that lasts like half an hour. You know what I mean? So, but maybe other people do. I don't know.
Yeah, that's for your audience to
exactly.
to agree or disagree with. Yeah. Okay, so keeping really busy. I guess that's a very important part of this time. Not only trying to help as many people as you can with the work you do, but also kind of just for the mental health side. Staying busy is a key part has been a key part of this period. And I guess as in the role that Play for Progress play as a charity. It's children and students not having that digital access must be a real, a heightened issue. For you. Yeah.
I think it's also the way that Play for Progress works and the way that sessions are structured. Like it's in the Refugee Council in Croydon where a lot of stuff happens, and the nature of that space is that people can. You can kind of attend to varying degrees. You can just be in a session and just sitting on the side observing, and it's very different. You can't really simulate that. Like, you can't sort of casually attend a Zoom meeting, it's like, so that I think just that discrepancy you don't have as much of. And I think that's, from my perspective, that's been one of the challenges, is how to get young people involved who maybe weren't as forthright in their commitment to the whole thing previously,
Yeah. And actually, that's a nice sort of tail end point for the next bit that I wanted to kind of ask you both, in your slightly differing roles at Play for Progress, is what kind of students, both musically and otherwise, were you both, and did you have kind of one-to-one mentoring like the children through Play for Progress receive?
So I'm sure this will be no shock to anyone, I was quite an intense academic student. Shocking. And I loved to play a wee bit of piano, and did a lot of singing when I was younger, which really helped, that kind of working in a group and working together. I didn't have any official one-to-one mentoring, but and I know we're going to come on to this later. One of the things that we do in Play for Progress, the way we teach, is we're not looking to achieve certain standards at all costs. It's about finding out about that person and helping them start to re-engage in communication, and finding out what they need help with, what their aspirations are, building a picture of where they would like to go in life and how we can help them get there. So it's a very different teaching and tutoring in any of the Play for Progress departments. And, we now have an educational department, as well as our music department and our therapy department and our art department and our advocacy department. All of them are interlinked, and it's so we can build the best picture to help these young people whilst they're here. So although I didn't officially have a mentor, I feel like we work in Play for Progress in the sort of idea that everything is therapeutically grounded, and every young person should have 5 adults who are emotionally available to them to be able to grow and develop and learn to healthily ask questions, and then contribute that back. And we've just, in the last year or so, we've developed a young leaders group, so we're now seeing them being one of the 5 sort of people in the younger kids' lives as well. So it's been a really interesting development.
Yeah, I was wondering maybe if you could give our listeners more of an idea of what educational therapy through music means, kind of maybe on a sort of day-to-day level, what that means with a student.
Yeah, it goes back to everything being grounded in therapy, and Simon can talk more about this as well, about how we always try to do a tutor check-in so that we can find out where our team is. And we've introduced a monthly tutor reflection session, just because we're really aware of the content that the tutors are often dealing with. And all of the Play for Progress rooms, a lot of the kids have had very traumatic experiences. So you're walking into that, you're having to really up your energy or bring your energy down. You just have to be really aware of what you're walking into. So the sort of educational musical therapy side of things is being aware of that, knowing that we have other departments that are working together, and again, just working towards this aim of producing healthy young people and helping them to rebuild their lives.
Yeah, precisely. Simon, do you have any anything more to add to that? I'm sure there's the work that you do kind of with the students in your sessions.
I think very succinctly, for me, the way I'd explain it is that music is a metaphor, and the way I understand how Play for Progress functions and the role it plays with the students and the young people is that it's through the metaphor of music that all these other things in life are, it kind of feeds into all these other areas of people's lives. Say like the act of being seen and heard, like literally when you're playing music, and in sharing and being vulnerable and being scared, but still sharing something you've worked on with the group and celebrating someone's contributions and celebrating their, the active side in them playing and sharing and singing, and the passive side, or it's not passive, but, them listening and just basically being fully engaged, like in music. That then translates into, confidence and trust and empowerment and love and care and attention and all these things that are fundamental to someone's well-being and kind of progress, basically.
Yeah, they're playing for progress. Yeah, very nice tying in there, Simon.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. I think it really is about the all-round ability that you are inspiring, within the child, and certainly with tutoring, maybe academic tutoring, we definitely talk about improving, far more than just their ability in maths, or far more than just their ability to write, a creative writing answer. It's about giving them the tools that they can take away and use to improve themselves in the future. Because, as I'm sure you found as well, you don't work with these students forever. You're there at a crucial time in their lives, and the tools that you can give them there and then that they can then take on and use themselves. That's the most important thing to teach a student. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. Well, I'd say, to add to that, though, also a really strong thing is the idea of community.
Yes.
Just from my own perspective and how I grew up with music and experiencing like community music, like my mum's run a community big band for 40 years, and giving that to a new community of young people, like that transcends anything that you can put on paper and kind of value in any kind of analytical sense. It transcends that. It's like you need the sense of community in order for these things to develop,
Yeah, exactly. And so how did Play for Progress kind of support a student's all-round education, not just looking at music, but also kind of, you mentioned just there, Anna, that there was, you're looking out for all parts of their education.
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey with Play for Progress, because we've very much developed services based on what we see the need is and what the young people bring to us. So that's how the therapy department developed, and that's also how the educational department developed. So we have some young people who are learning their numbers so that they can make sure they get the right bus home. And we have, one young person who's just been accepted to university. So the scale there is as wide pretty much as you can get. But mainly, again, just as Simon says, it's about community, it's about communication, it's about bringing people in and helping each other. And we learn that from the young people. They're so good at helping the others, at translating, at showing them guitar chords. The empathy that they show is incredible. And that's all the way from helping people get the right bus home and saying, to somebody else, I think they need some help with this, and bringing that to our attention when others can't. Yeah,
I think that's one of the most powerful parts of educating young people is watching that peer-to-peer support grow.
Absolutely.
It's perhaps it's more obvious to see how a teacher can help a student. That's quite a common and established relationship. But seeing those students that you're teaching, watching them help each other, and as you've mentioned, getting the right bus home is such a brilliant example of that. That really is the most powerful part of it. And kind of maybe that is something that's that's kind of an answer that you may have for my next sort of point, which was, what have you two both seen is the true impact of music in education? Maybe highlighting with some examples. What does music in education do for a student?
I think it does so many things, and it's quite difficult, especially I think it's difficult for young people. I know, when I was young and a teenager, it wasn't very easy for me to articulate anything verbally and psychologically, so it's difficult to say for sure, but my perspective on it is that if you can do something and you can do it well, or you can see that if you put energy into it, you're going to get better at it, that in itself is huge. And if you know that you can make mistakes and ask for help, and if you know that you're not alone, that has a huge impact. And
knowing that you have the trust of those around you, that's kind of what you're alluding to.
Yeah, and you have to trust yourself as well in order to share something. So So the more that that's built up in someone, basically the more that you see someone be fully themselves, whether that's, you know, sad or angry or totally blissfully happy and joyful, like the more you see that, the more you know that it's having an effect.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point there about how, you know, the emotional side of a student is so key to reflecting how they're feeling. You know, and often children are quick to put up barriers because they don't want to seem, you know, that they're aware of their own vulnerability and their own weakness, so they put up barriers so that people can't, you know, their true feelings aren't revealed. But that's that's wonderful there. Yes, seeing
not just children.
Yeah, no, not just children. Right, teachers and parents and students alike. I thank you, Simon, for sharing that. I think that's and that's somewhere that music really kind of permeates more than the academic environment, is that release of emotion. So that, you know, that's why it's so powerful. That's why we love here at QT speaking to those involved in music and education. So just sort of pivoting slightly, for those, you know, tutors, mentors, activists, therapists who want to get involved with what Play for Progress do, how do you prepare your educators for the work that they do with Play for Progress?
Do you know, we're really lucky in that we've got a great team, and they tend to recommend people. So when we're bringing someone into the space, it's already someone that's probably heard a little bit about what we do and has shown an interest in it and is keen to learn about it. So we're already kind of off to a great start, and as well as obviously all the normal sort of safeguarding checks that we do. What we found to be most useful is when we have the tutor that they're covering for write a covering letter to tell them about all the things that they should do and what to prepare for, because Play for Progress is a very different environment to just, and I say that with inverted commas, just being a music tutor. Mm-hmm. Because of the mentoring element, because of the kids that we're working with, because of the sort of 360 grounded in therapy approach that we have. But we do try and be quite hands-on. So they normally have a phone call prior to coming, so that they're also talked through what's happening, what will happen when they arrive. And we do a tutor check-in. So the way that a Play for Progress session looks is that we do a tutor check-in, and then we move to the bigger space where the tutors will share a bit of music. Then we break up into individual or small group lessons, and then we come back, and if the students want to share, they will share. Then we do a group check out, and then we do a tutor check out. Yeah. And in between that, from the start, there'll also be a little bit of orientation just around a new person. But to be honest, I think it is a little bit of a baptism of fire to come into the Play for Progress space.
Yes, it takes a few months, does it, to assimilate with the way that Play for Progress work? Is that right?
I think that's fair. I think it's quite different from what I understand. But maybe Simon, you would like to shed some light on that.
Simon's about to unload all of his worries.
I think it's different. I think it's different for everyone. But I'd say that the biggest thing about it is, I'm going to sound really corny, but it's basically like the level of trust that you're given means that you can be so involved. I think that's why there's so much care taken around, like checking in and out and tutors' well-being, because it's a very emotionally engaged thing. But basically, because you're given so much trust, you then just have to check in with yourself about, like, you know, it really brings you to the edge of what you can offer and what you can do. Like, that's, I don't know if that explains it, but
yeah. So understanding that working in this kind of environment is a tough job, and it's not kind of just like working with a music student who's flying already. That's the sense that I'm getting from both of you, is that there's a certain amount of preparation that has to be done in understanding that the work is tough and the environment is tricky. Is that right?
What I mean is the relationship that you develop with the students is in a lot of ways more personal. In my experience, it's a lot more personal than in situations where I'm going into a school once a week, for half an hour or an hour's workshop, or like it's so much there's so much more of yourself brought into it. It's not just, you're not just teaching someone a musical skill. And I don't think you are when you're, even if I'm teaching someone in a school for drums for half an hour, I still don't, I think it's all the same. Like it's just that the different organizations have different approaches to it. So that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think that's that personal level of relationship that you build up between the educator and the learner is easily one of the most rewarding parts of going into this kind of work. I think that's something that's come out of every single episode we've ever had on this, and people we speak to, even outside of the podcast, is there is really no substitute for building that relationship over time, because it is gradual and it takes time to build trust and to build that culture. But once you're both at a sort of mutual level of trust and relationship, then it's really, really positive environment. And do you think, Simon, that's what you enjoy most about what you do?
I think it's the notion of being simultaneously self-indulgent and of service to like the fullest extent. I think I used to be a lot more righteous and naive about how musicians are in service, and and actually it's like I get a lot out of it because I enjoy it. We're playing music. I love playing music, and also a huge part of it is giving that and giving myself. But it's not, it's the two things. It's the two things coinciding,
Yeah. And Anna, if there was one thing that you said that you enjoyed most about what you do with Play for Progress, which kind of elements do you think it may be?
So I spend quite a lot of time, as does Ali Fraser, who's the other co-founder, sort of sorting things out in the back. So sorting out help with accompaniment for court cases or psychiatric appointments or these age assessment cases or immigration cases. So you see a lot of the issues that these kids deal with, and so just to quickly run them through, it's age assessment cases, immigration, health, education and housing. And these are all young people who are working in their second or third language in a different country. So it's the moments when they do something that they obviously never thought they'd be able to do. It's just incredible. Like I know I've mentioned it before, but we're so pleased that we've got one young person who's been offered an unconditional at university, and he was one of our original students. And I know that when he arrived, he didn't have any thoughts of that at all. But the other thing that does is it lights the spark. It lights the spark in the other kids, because they think, okay, I could do that, and it's that real joy of seeing one kid inspire the other, and reaching to achieve what they want to achieve.
Which I imagine must happen just a brilliant number of times over the years that Play for Progress has been going. You must have seen that so many times, and that's a irreplaceable feeling.
So we're lucky because they're so innovative. One of them turned up about a month before lockdown, and he was applying to become one of the youth mayors for one of the London boroughs. It was just amazing.
I didn't know that existed.
It's new.
It's new. He's leading it. Yeah. Yeah. So just wrapping up there, is there what can we look forward to from Play for Progress in the coming weeks then? What's planned?
So we're keeping our 3 classes. 2 of them are still public facing, so you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we do a Live at 5 Facebook live stream with a musician or an artist that we've worked with previously. So we call these folk our allies in art. And on Friday nights we now have our class, which is just for the kids. So we've reinstated that, and it's been really great. We plan to do these things through to the end of term, along with one-to-one therapies and keeping our education up and running. And our hope is that we'll be back in our physical space in September. That's what we're aiming for. That's our hope.
Yeah. Okay. There's obviously no one is sure at the moment, but that's brilliant to have a goal to work towards.
Sorry, Ludo. One last thing. It's Refugee Week in June, and we will be having a couple of Play for Progress events during that week. So just keep a wee eye out for that as well.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. That's a great thing to hear and to have to build up. That's when's that then? Because that can't be too long away now. A couple of weeks' time.
That is 15th to the 21st of June.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so Refugee Week, the 15th to the 21st of June. Okay, so 3 weeks now. That's plenty of time to build up to that. I'm sure there's lots of kind of events and activities being planned.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, well, really, thank you both so much for finding the time to come join us. There's really a lot there. There's a lot for our listeners to engage with there, to take on board, to implement in their own sessions. Simon, amazing to have your playing experience. Playing with the students alongside them. Great to have that experience here. And Anna, thank you very much for discussing, what we can look forward to for Play for Progress, what the history of it has been, where it's come from, why you exist. I think those are really, really core parts to hear from you guys.
And thanks for having us on, Ludo.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you both very, very much. Please do tune in. If you've enjoyed listening to this, please do tune in again. You can find everything that Play for Progress are doing, as Anna said, on their Facebook, their Twitter. Go to playforprogress.org to find out more about the therapy and the class sessions they have. And we will catch all of you next time. Thank you very much. And thank you to you both.
Thanks, Ludo.
Thanks for listening to the Qualified Tutor podcast, where tutors share their expertise to support the tutoring community. We're always looking for motivated tutors to interview on the show. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, get in touch at podcast@qualifiedtutor.org. We'd love to learn from you.